Hey guys, this video is going to be an introduction to prokaryotes and eukaryotes, as well as looking at cells under the microscope and identifying different parts. Okay, so let me pull up the thinking map so we can go over it real quick. So the first thing that we need to know, or that what we need to put in our thinking map, is that organisms could either be, we can use a couple of characteristics to identify organisms. First one is if if the cell has a nucleus or if it doesn't have a nucleus, if it has organelles or if it doesn't have organelles. So if the living organism has a nucleus, then we know it's a eukaryote. If it doesn't have a nucleus, then we know it's going to be a prokaryotic organism. And so no nucleus, no organelles, we know that that organism is going to be a prokaryote. And that prokaryotic organism only has two options. If we know it's a prokaryote, it's either going to be a bacteria or eubacteria and archaebacteria. The difference between those two is that eubacteria lives pretty much anywhere except extreme environments, because that's where archaebacteria lives, okay, in extreme environments, extreme temperatures, extreme pH levels. And then if the organism has a nucleus, we know it's going to be a eukaryotic organism, and there's four options for that. It could be an animal, it could be a fungi, it could be a plant, or it could be a protist. Okay, and we'll go into more detail on these kingdoms or these eukaryotes later on in the semester. Okay, but that's where living organisms are. Either they have a nucleus in their eukaryotes, or they don't have a nucleus in their prokaryotes. Okay, all right. So let's see. Moving on. So we know so far from what we just looked at in the thinking map is that prokaryotic cells are microscopic. They're really, really small. If you were to compare with a eukaryotic, that would be a eukaryotic cell. This would be the prokaryotic cell. Okay, so you can see the difference in size. Okay, they also have ribosomes. Ribosomes are a very important thing in biology or in cells, because ribosomes, okay, they're responsible for the production of proteins. Make sure you have that in your notes. Make sure you remember that. Okay. Prokaryotic cells, they're also divide through binary fission, whereas there's one cell, and when they divide, they just split in half, and now we have two identical cells. That's binary fission. Okay. They are unicellular, meaning they are made up of one cell, and some of the examples we already put them in the thinking map are bacteria and archaebacteria. So cyanobacteria is actually responsible for the oxygen that's here on our planet, and it's probably an ancestor of the chloroplast that's in our plant cells. Okay, so that's prokaryotics. The biggest thing is that they do not have a nucleus, and they are tiny compared to eukaryotes. Okay. All right, so prokaryotes, no nucleus. Then we move on to eukaryotic cells. They do have a nucleus. Okay, they're way larger than prokaryotes, like I showed you in the previous slide. And they have organelles. Organelles like chloroplasts, mitochondria, lysosomes. And we'll talk about those in another video. But they have organelles. They reproduce through meiosis and mitosis, not binary fission. Okay, they are multicellular, meaning they have more than one cell. And also the examples are the ones that we put in the thinking map, right? So there's four: plants, animals, fungi, and protocells, which we'll look at here in a minute to show you an example of how they actually look. So that's prokaryotics, eukaryotics. Make sure you can tell them apart, and make sure you know the differences and similarities, okay? All right, so moving on. So the cells, here are some pictures of them. You can see that this is an animal cell, this is a plant cell, this is a bacteria cell, and all this picture is showing you some of the similarities, some of the differences. You can see that both the animal and plant cell have a nucleus. They have a Golgi apparatus. Everyone has a cytoplasm, which is the gel that keeps everything together. Plant cells have a cell wall, which is something that's very unique to them, as well as chloroplast and a vacuole. Those are the three big things that plant cells have that other cells do not. So they have a vacuole, they have a chloroplast, and they have a cell wall. But we'll come back to that. But these are the cells. So let me show you some of the slides, some of the actual cells that we looked at. This is a bacteria cell, okay, under the microscope. And if you look at it, you can tell that these cells, let me go back. These cells are very, very, very small, okay? and the whatever is surrounding that cylinder or those cylindrical shapes, that's the cell wall. Okay, bacteria is prokaryotic and it does have a cell wall. They're very, very tiny. Our microscopes, this is as much as they're going to magnify, so that's how they are going to look. This is a protist or a eukaryote. Okay, and you can see protist, this eukaryotic is actually a unicellular organism, and it has the nucleus here. Okay, and whatever is surrounding that organism is going to be the cell membrane. It's a unicellular organism, so it's one cell. That cell is the entire organism. Okay, so that's a protist or a eukaryote. The next one is going to be a pine. This is the root of a pine tree, and it's a eukaryotic. Okay, you can see that. You can see here that this is a nucleus. Let me go back. Here we go. This is a nucleus, right? Those dark spots right there. But some of the cells are empty. Okay, but you can still see the cell wall around those yellow lines are the cell wall. This one has a let me go back. This one has the nucleus in there. This one is empty, but those are xylem cells where water goes through, so they need to be empty. Okay, this one, the next one is going to be a ferndes and a leaf, and you can see the structure. Those dark areas on there are going to be the cell walls. If I go around here, this is the cell wall. Okay, and then you can see the dark spot there. That's the nucleus, and then all the little see-through bubbles that you guys saw on the microscope in lab are the chloroplasts. Okay, so that's a plant cell. This is a earthworm, and you can see the nucleus again. This is in this one. The nucleus is very easy to spot. That's all the purple dots that you see there, and then you can see the outline of the cell membrane. Okay. The next one is going to be a liver cell. This is a eukaryotic cell. Again, this is very easy to see, very easy to identify the parts. The dark areas on here are going to be the nucleus, that one right there, right? That's your nucleus. And then whatever is surrounding the nucleus is going to be called the cell membrane. And down here, this would be the cell membrane, and then this would be the nucleus. And it's already labeled for you, okay? All right, I hope this helped. Let me know if you have any questions.